Coming up on Falcon Weekly, a month of Trump, we take a look back on how the 45th president has spent his first month in the Oval Office and see how people around the world are protesting him on this President's Day.
Plus, an Alabama teen is charged with his great-grandmother's murder, but even if he gets the maximum sentence, he won't spend long behind bars. Find out how much time he could serve.
And they're the sunglasses of social media, and now you can buy them online. See how much you'll have to spend to snag a pair of Snapchat's new spectacles.
It's time to play ball. Coming up, see my one-on-one interview with Boston Red Sox first baseman Mitch Moreland. Falcon Weekly starts right now. Hello and welcome to Falcon Weekly. I'm Hope Finley.
And I'm Alex Tejada. Thanks so much for joining us.
Donald Trump's first President's Day as the 45th President of the United States comes exactly 1 month after taking office.
His administration is touting its successes, while protesters say the president is not their president. Emily Schmidt is in Washington with more on these mixed messages.
President Trump marked President's Day with an all-caps tweet that sounded part holiday, part campaign. It's a message he's repeated in recent days.
It's now been 1 month since my inauguration, and I am here to tell you about our incredible progress in making America great again.
Across the country, people gathered to say the progress is anything but. Rallies in major cities attracted protesters for what they called Not My President's Day. Protests also stretch overseas.
Because I think offering President Trump, because that's what he is, a state visit, is entirely inappropriate.
In London, people gathered outside of Parliament, where members set aside 3 hours to debate if President Trump should get a state visit to the UK. Protesters in Brussels had a message for visiting Vice President Mike Pence, who, in turn, had a message for European leaders.
It is my privilege here at the NATO headquarters to express the strong support of President Trump and the United States of America for NATO and our transatlantic alliance.
At the same time, the vice president called on NATO partners to pay their share. When asked what would happen if they didn't, Pence answered,
I know that the patience of the American people will not endure forever.
A potential hint at policy which could alter years of ties from an administration still in its early weeks. In Washington, I'm Emily Schmidt reporting.
On this President's Day, the Commander-in-Chief is celebrating exactly 1 month in office, and what a month it's been. The White House insists everything is going smoothly at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but others see a chaotic start to this administration. Karen Catha has the latest.
President Trump taking his message directly to the people over the holiday weekend. But he ended up on the defense, clarifying what he meant when he said this.
You look at what's happening last night in Sweden. They took in large numbers. They're having problems like they never thought possible.
His comments sparking confusion and leaving Swedish officials scratching their heads. Trump clarifying on Twitter that he was referring to a Fox News report.
By the way, Sweden had its first terrorist Islamic attack not that long ago.
And then doubling down on his attacks against the media.
They don't get it.
The Swedish foreign minister called the allegations inaccurate, but the flap is just the latest in a series of mixed messages on foreign policy. Trump at times publicly contradicting those in his inner circle. Defense Secretary James Mattis is breaking ranks with President Trump on the issue of Iraq's oil.
So we should have kept the oil, but okay. Maybe you'll have another chance.
Mattis sending a starkly different message.
We're not in Iraq to seize anybody's oil.
And after Trump's support of Great Britain exiting the European Union and past rhetoric on NATO, Vice President Pence wrapping up a trip to Europe with words intended to reassure Western allies.
It is my privilege here at the NATO headquarters to express the strong support of President Trump and the United States of America for NATO and our transatlantic alliance.
In Washington, I'm Karen Catha.
Monday, President Trump tapped Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster to be his new National Security Advisor and Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg to remain as the National Security Council Chief of Staff. Michael Flynn was forced out last week after misleading Vice President Mike Pence about his conversation with the Russian ambassador to Washington.
Organizers behind January's Women's March on Washington are planning a new protest for next month. Countless women across the country are planning to take part in the A Day Without a Woman protest. The strike is set for Wednesday, March 8th, which is also International Women's Day. In a social media announcement, organizers said it aims for communities to celebrate unity, love, and liberation for women. The group is not detailing what actions it wants people to take, but says more details about the event are on the way.
Residents in San Antonio are surveying the damage after powerful storms struck the city Sunday night. The National Weather Service says at least 100 homes were damaged across the city by a combination of thunderstorms and powerful winds. The agency is investigating reports of a possible tornado hitting the San Antonio area Sunday evening. The heavy rain also led to flooding on area roads. Nearly 40,000 customers in the area lost power. And take a look at this video from Williamson County, Texas, where strong winds blew a train off the tracks. The sheriff's office says at least 20 train cars derailed during the storm. At one point, winds reached up to 80 miles per hour in central Texas, prompting a tornado warning. More than 3,000 customers in Williamson County were without power Monday morning.
In Colombia, at least a dozen suspects are in custody after an explosion near a bullfighting ring in the capital on Sunday. Police in Bogotá say 31 people were wounded, 10 of them are police officers. Bullfighting has only just returned to Bogotá after being effectively banned since 2012. Officials say it's not clear who is responsible for the attack. The woman behind Roe v. Wade's Supreme Court case has passed away. Norma McCorvey was the lead plaintiff in the case that legalized abortion nationwide in 1973. A priest close to her family confirmed her death Saturday. Media reports say the 69-year-old McCorvey, who was the Jane Roe in the case, died of a heart ailment. She later became a born-again Christian and joined a group opposed to abortion rights. McCorvey was in her third pregnancy while the case was going on. She had a girl before the court made the ruling. She gave up the child for adoption.
Turning to news from across Alabama, a 69-year-old Mobile woman was shot several times in her own kitchen Thursday night.
And police say that her 13-year-old great-grandson pulled the trigger, but he didn't act alone. His 15-year-old neighbor and a 19-year-old confessed that they helped. Police located the suspects in the victim's car 20 miles away from the murder scene. They ran into the woods but were quickly captured. Police found a rifle nearby that could be the murder weapon. Investigators say the murder was premeditated, but a motive is not known.
It's a horrible, horrible situation. The great-grandmother was doing everything she could to raise this child right and to do right by this child, and here we are. So it's very, very difficult for all parties involved.
All three suspects are being charged with murder, but the boy who pulled the trigger can only be charged as a juvenile. That means his maximum sentence is 3 years in a juvenile detention center.
Someone stabbed an inmate to death at a prison in Elmore, Alabama. Thursday morning, officers found 35-year-old Grant Mickens injured in the prison yard of the Staten Correctional Facility. Mickens had multiple stab wounds in his chest, back, and arms. He died about 10 minutes later. Police believe another inmate, 31-year-old Demetric Horsley, used a makeshift knife to kill Mickens. The Staten Correctional Facility is overpopulated. A spokesman for the Alabama Department of Corrections says the facility was designed to hold about 500 inmates. It currently houses about 1,400.
Uber's CEO has ordered an investigation into allegations of sexual harassment by a former employee. In a blog post, former Uber employee Susan Fowler says she and other women complained about advances by a male supervisor, but she says that the supervisor got away with a warning. Fowler also claimed she pushed against gender discrimination at Uber but was threatened with firing. Sunday, Uber CEO Travis Kalanick said what Fowler described is abhorrent. He also said he ordered human resources to look into the allegation right away. Fowler left Uber in December. Turning to campus news, Montevallo will be offering Safe Zone training this Thursday. Safe Zone aims to increase awareness and knowledge about important issues affecting LGBT+ community. Thursday's training will be from 12:30 to 1:30 in Wills 200. Safe Zone training is open to all UM faculty, staff, and students.
Students across campus are coming down with what some are calling the post-college night plague. Montevallo's Health Services Office has seen a rise in flu cases and respiratory viruses in the past week. UM's registered nurse Shannon Smith says the increase is part of the statewide flu outbreak and is not only afflicting college night participants. Health Services suggests that sick students stay in their rooms, rest and stay hydrated, and to make follow-up appointment if symptoms do not improve in 3 to 5 days.
UM's SGA will be spending almost half the remaining budget for the year on pencils. During last Wednesday's Senate meeting, a bill was passed that will use more than $2,100 of the association's remaining $4,500 budget. The purchase will add 5,000 pencils to the SGA free supplies program and will sustain the service for another 3 years.
In this week's entertainment headlines, the Lego Batman movie is holding on to the top spot at the box office. The animated flick is beating the competition for a second straight weekend, making more than $34 million. It's followed by the racy sequel, 50 Shades Darker, with roughly $21 million. Matt Damon's fantasy adventure, The Great Wall, opened in the number 3 spot, pulling in an estimated $18 million.
Also on the big screen, Donald Glover and James Earl Jones have been cast in Disney's live-action remake of The Lion King. Jones will play Mufasa, and Glover will voice Simba in the studio's new take on the 1994 classic. Jones was the voice of Mufasa in the original animated movie. Director Jon Favreau broke the news on Twitter. He tweeted a picture of Glover with the caption, "I just can't wait to be king."
You can now buy Snapchatting sunglasses online. Snap says the glasses are now available on spectacles.com for $130. The sunglasses let you film snaps at the touch of a button. The videos are then saved on your Snapchat app and can later be edited and shared. The sunglasses were launched last November and until now were only available in vending machines called Snapbots across the U.S. And despite the hype, Snap admitted in its recent IPO filing that the company isn't making any money from the spectacles. Snap is expected to make its Wall Street trading debut next month. So what do you think about the Snapchat spectacles? Would you buy them? Or?
Yeah, certainly. They seem to be fairly priced compared to Ray-Ban, so they can work with Snapchat. That sounds like a good addition.
I just don't know how I feel about the Snapchats, but videoing everything that I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird, kind of different, but I mean, hey, if it's for somebody, it might be something.
Technology.
Yeah, and it might be something cool to just try out. You never know. So, yeah.
In Montevallo athletics, Danny Young's men's basketball team wraps up their regular season this Wednesday at Clayton State. The 17-8 Falcons sit atop the Peach Belt West standings and will play in the conference quarterfinals on Saturday. A win in the final game will allow Montevallo to host the quarterfinal at Trustmark Arena. Four-time Player of the Week Javonte Douglas leads the conference in points and rebounds per game. He also boasts the Peach Belt's best three-point shooting percentage. The Falcons also face Clayton State in tennis on Saturday. The 8-0 Falcons swept Spring Hill College yesterday by a score of 9-0. Coach Albertson's team consists of only underclassmen, but are led by last season's best player, the returning sophomore Alina Munteanu. True freshman Meryl Van Zutphen has made a great start to the season, and the Falcons will feel optimistic heading into the start of conference play. The women's lacrosse team opened Gulf South Conference play this past weekend. Coach Rogers' team started 2-0 after last week's win over Point, but lost both contests against Georgia rivals Shorter and Young Harris. Last year's top scorer Jamie Hudak scored 9 goals in the 2 games. The Falcons continue conference play on Wednesday with a trip to Huntsville to face UAH. They return home to face Lee on Saturday. First draw is set for 1 p.m.
MLB exhibition games are kicking off at the end of this week. Before leaving to start practice, I got the chance to sit down with the Boston Red Sox new first baseman, Mitch Moreland, to talk about the benefits and struggles that come with being a Major League Baseball player.
That ball is hammered to center field, up to his back. Goodbye!
It's the dream of little boys around the world to become a Major League Baseball player.
This has always been my first love, and that's all I've ever wanted to do. I don't know what else I'd be doing if I wasn't playing ball.
But most strike out with their dream never becoming a reality. But Mitch Moreland knew, even as a young boy, that he could go all the way.
Played every sport growing up. Baseball just always seemed to be my favorite, what I wanted to do.
After playing college ball at Mississippi State, the Texas Rangers drafted Moreland in 2007.
In college, got to go to the College World Series. Now, my first 2 years in the big leagues, I got to play in the World Series. So, you know, made a lot of great memories. I guess on the opposite end of that, I would like to win one of those eventually, you know.
Recently, Moreland became a free agent in 2016 and signed with the Boston Red Sox.
I've been very fortunate. I've played on a lot of great teams, a lot of winning teams, all the way up.
With a new team comes new faces and new places for Mitch and his family. A life in the big leagues comes with big moves, this time from Texas to Boston.
I tell my wife all the time, we get to talking about it, and I was like, look, my home is where y'all are, you know, and that's kind of the way I have to be.
Being an MLB player means life on the road, much of it living out of suitcases for 180 days a year. And for a private man with a job in the public eye, Mitch often longs for some of the little moments in life.
It was my son's first year in T-ball last year, and I got to see one game, no practice, one game. So, you know, just thinking back to my childhood, my dad did not miss anything. And I've already missed more than what my dad missed growing up. So that was tough for me.
Sacrifices for success. Now Mitch prepares for a new team and a new season, both on the diamond and in life, all for his love of the game. Mitch has Montevallo connection. His wife, Susanna, graduated from UM in 2009 with a degree in elementary education. Catch Mitch in action with the Red Sox this season. You can check out the schedule at the link on the bottom of your screen.
Finally this week, a normal morning drive into Washington, D.C. wasn't normal at all for a garbage truck driver. Check out this cute little critter, just chilling on the back of a garbage truck. A motorist spotted a raccoon holding on and alerted the truck driver.
3 Falls Church police officers responded with catch poles. By that time, the raccoon had crawled into the truck container. Photos show the truck driver on top of the truck retrieving the raccoon with the pole. The raccoon was released in a nearby park. Remember, there's more news online 24/7. Just search for Falcon Weekly on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see more stories and news updates throughout the week. That's all the time we have for this week's show. Thank you so much for joining us.
For more news from MassCom student reporters, be sure to check out the Falcon News Network blog. The website address is on your screen. We'll see you again next week.